A couple nights ago, me and my friend Aaron borrowed his dad's truck and drove to the nearby town close to our own. We met up with some friends and Aaron's girlfriend and went to see a movie. It had been pretty late when me and Aaron had set off home, and there were hardly any cars out on the road at that time, considering we basically lived in the middle of nowhere, which was a total nightmare in itself when we ended up with a busted tire and had no choice but to pull over on the side of the road. That nightmare only grew when I realized my cell battery was dead and Aaron had no service. We thought we'd be stuck all night, and our parents would be thinking the worst when they realized in the early hours that we weren't home. I mean, it wouldn't have been the complete end of the world. It was summer, so it was warm at least. So sleeping in the truck wouldn't have been too bad, but we didn't choose that option. We chose a different one that could have ended really badly. We were on the side of the road for almost 2 hours trying to get service on Aaron's phone. That's when a truck could be seen in the distance, coming towards us. We hadn't seen any cars that night apart from that truck. It had been nearly 2 in the morning on a Sunday night, but that truck slowed down to a stop when whoever was driving it saw us stranded. They pulled up in front of us, and a man got out. I remember thinking almost immediately that the guy looked quite frightening. He had a big scar on his cheek, and he was really tall and broad. Me and Aaron just kinda stood there awkwardly when he came towards us. He'd stopped and started to look at our truck curiously before even saying anything, and then stared at the two of us like he was deciding something in his own head. It was weird. The fact it took him so long to speak was just a little strange, but he eventually asked in this gruff voice if us boys were stuck out there. We told him we were, that our tire had popped. Again, he took a really long time to say something else as he looked us both up and down, but then he asked us where we were heading. I was quite dubious of the guy, but Aaron instantly told him that we were trying to get back to our town some miles down the road. That's when the guy told us he was headed to the same town, and we should jump in with him so he could take us home. Again, Aaron agreed almost immediately, which I thought was stupid, but I had to remind myself that maybe I was just being too paranoid, thinking too deeply about nothing. I told myself I'd watched too many horror movies. We both took the guy up on his offer and headed to his truck. We'd pick ours up tomorrow with my dad's help. Aaron didn't see it as we went to the front of the truck, but I did. In the back, there was something there, something laying under a tarp that was attracting flies. I was seriously freaked out now. I couldn't see what it was, but I'm not sure I even wanted to know, especially when I saw traces of blood in the back of the truck. The guy asked if I was getting in or what, and I started to ramble all about how we shouldn't be taking up his time, and we'll just figure something else out and he could be on his way. I did not want to get into that truck, but Aaron had already been sitting up front, totally unaware of what I'd just seen. He shouted for me to get in, or he was leaving me behind for being an idiot, and I knew I couldn't leave him alone with that guy. I didn't know what he was capable of. So, whether it had been bravery, lunacy, or just downright fear, I got in the front beside Aaron, and the man climbed in next to him. We set off away from our truck along that eerily quiet road surrounded by nothing but trees. Aaron was attempting to make small talk with the guy, but oddly, he just didn't seem one bit interested in speaking to us, even though he had insisted we get in his truck and he could take us home. We drove for like 20 minutes when my levels of discomfort only grew, when I noticed the man took a right turn when he should have gone left. I stressed this to him, but he tried to dismiss me by saying he'd taken a shorter route. I knew that wasn't true. You couldn't get to mine in Aaron's town by going right at the end of that long road. Now, Aaron was worried. I saw it when we exchanged a glance. I persisted to tell the man that he needed to go back, but he just ignored me and Aaron. He had literally been acting like neither of us were even there. I'd had enough after that. I was afraid, and Aaron was downright pissed off. He hadn't seen the bloody thing under that tarp. We both started demanding that he stop his truck, but again, silence. When Aaron then shouted and called the guy a freak, that's when he finally spoke. It shook us both to the core when the guy told us we weren't going home. We were never going home. Me and Aaron were terrified at that point. I was internally kicking myself for even contemplating getting into a car with a stranger at 17 years of age. Why the hell did we do that? All those stories out there about unsuspecting hitchhikers. I couldn't believe me and Aaron had just become two of those unfortunate people. We should have stayed on the side of the road all night. We were shouting, cursing, yelling for that psycho to stop his truck, but he would not. He told us he had a special place for the two of us, and we were nearly there. That's when my burst of adrenaline took over. I could have killed all three of us there, but I still made that impulsive decision anyway when I saw a 24-hour cafe and gas station creeping closer to us on the side of that seemingly deserted road. I leaned over Aaron and I yanked at the steering wheel. The truck skidded in all directions as the guy yelled at me, and he tried to steady the vehicle. It eventually came to a crazily abrupt stop right in the middle of the road, and right outside that gas station and cafe. I yelled at Aaron to get out of the truck, and thank God those doors were left open. I was out, but that weirdo managed to grab a hold of Aaron's shirt and tried to drag him back inside. His grip had been weak, and I pulled Aaron towards me, which ripped his shirt. But we were free. We fled from that man and whatever he had covered under that tarp attracting flies. We ran to the cafe and yelled for literally anyone's attention. We pushed open the door, just as I heard that guy speeding away down that dark and lonely road. There was a trucker inside and the one waitress who came to our aid pretty quickly. We told them everything while struggling to catch our breaths. The waitress got on the phone to the cops, and Aaron was almost sick at the thought of what could have been under that bloody tarp. The woman also called our parents when we gave her the numbers, and the trucker tried his best to make us feel at ease by ordering us some water and some sodas. Me and Aaron could not come to terms with what had happened that night. We had no idea what that guy's plans were for us, where he was taking us and what he was going to do. I hope the cops find him. I hope and pray that whatever was under that tarp was not what I had already convinced myself of. We were too petrified to look for a plate number, and we didn't even ask the guy's name when we agreed to get into the truck with him. We are lucky to be alive. We are so lucky that he was careless enough to forget to lock his truck doors. I will never, ever, for the rest of my life, even think to contemplate getting into a stranger's car ever again. It was so stupid of us, and we'll remember it forever.